Yeah, it's going to get better.
Yes, and we are live and we are just setting up and this Facebook is setting up. Okay, yeah, here we are. Good morning, everybody from India, and good evening from the other side of the world where all of you are going to join in from as well. So, just like we had a beautiful workshop yesterday, and and thanks to that workshop, I've got I've tried to align everybody, but I've got even more aligned because I slept and I was like, now I'm even more clear with the way things were going on. So just to let the audience know, Melanie is here. Melanie is like, good morning, Melanie, and you're like, oh, just we are moving in the right direction with this book. All the moms in the comments, um, just assuring you, it's just getting better. It's just getting more solidified. It's getting more aligned. It's getting more clear. And because I have, I'm taking the lead ahead. I'm just making sure that the path is very clear and everybody can lean in and just reach that spot from where all of us can take the flight safely into this world of visuals and start expressing that. So we yet another 74 like moms, and 75th one like is going to be there, and we're just going to be there, just 25 more moms. We have a beautiful mom, yet again, beautiful stories. My God, I had a good 1 hour chat with her. I could have spoken more, but my little one came in. I can just talk to Donna forever. Donna, welcome to the book. And just it was beautiful having a conversation with you. Please go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody because the mom who lives the
Hi.
story tells the story her best.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Donna Howled from Northern California, USA, and I'm the mother of three. I have a daughter, 47, and two sons, 34 and 36. And so kind of, there's quite a gap there. So I had quite a difference in raising those. It was like having two different families, although we were in the same household. I was a single mom until my daughter was 5. And then I met my husband, who I'm still married to today. We just had our 37th wedding anniversary, but
Wow.
we've been dating for 42 years. So
That's a long companionship.
that's a long time, yes. And we've had a wonderful life together. I actually had my daughter when I was 15, almost 16. And so we're very close. It was very different to raise a daughter being that young. And then two sons as an adult, a parent, married. So yeah, it was very different. And I have a beautiful daughter who I must have did a great job because she's grown up and she is now a Buddhist priest and graduated from college and did a great job in life. And my sons are wonderful. They're partners in farming with their father. And this year my husband retired, and so my sons have actually taken over the business, though they're still partners, but they had a wonderful year farming on their own. So I'm so proud of my children and where they are and the life that we live. We actually raised them in this house that I'm in right now. So we've been in this house for 40 years. When I hear some of the stories of the other moms in your book, I'm like, I feel like I'm like, I have a baby soul. This has been such a wonderful life and experience, that I've had with my children. And, I just truly believe that raising children has nothing to do with teaching them right and wrong. It has everything to do with learning from them. They are the teachers. I truly believe that. They are the teachers and we are the students. And whether we accept that or not is what takes us on the path that we're going to be on. And I think for the very first part of my parenting, I was not aware of that. I thought it
You're
was
very
my
young,
job.
Donna. You're
Yes,
very
it
young.
was
You
my job to do that, to make the, right and wrong for everyone. And boy, did I get a lesson, and it took me on this path of self-improvement, to recognize, that what I thought was I was, I think in the beginning, a very controlling parent. I was hard on my kids, and there were never natural consequences because I was always on top of it, and so I learned, somewhere while my kids were in their early, maybe young teens, that natural consequences are much better than what I know, and I turned that around really fast. And I recognized that what I was doing, even though my intention was to raise my children totally different than I was raised, all I knew was how I was raised. And I became my father, basically, with my own kids. And once I realized that, control was not a virtue, I turned that around. And today I believe I have a beautiful relationship with my children because, I faced that and I apologized, and I decided I was going to be a totally different person, and I think I did, I had to accept that I had my opportunity to do the best that I could with what I had until they were gone, and now they're adults, and to get to watch them be amazing adults, in spite of, what I tried, to do for them. I just think it's so incredible to have the opportunity to be a parent and to be in control of someone else's life, to support them, to, cherish them really until they get their wings, and are able to take advantage of life on their own. We really are just there to support them in the direction that they choose to go. It's not always the right place for them, and I think that's what's hard to watch. And we're always trying to guide them and what's right and what's wrong. But I know that's not. I have 4 beautiful grandchildren I get to watch be raised differently, from the get-go, and just to know the parenting that I get to watch was, whether it was, because of what I didn't do right or because of what I did do right, it's just an amazing opportunity to see it happen in such a beautiful way. So,
Donna, like few things here. One, like when you said we're here to learn, I also, of course, it reminded me of Sadhguru, who is somebody both of us really admire, and he talks a lot about, like, he has very beautiful schools, and one of his schools like does teach that as a thing that we learn from children, and that reminded me of that. And when you're talking about natural consequences, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean by natural consequences when you're saying?
I think basically you don't let your kids get themselves into trouble. You stop that before it ever happens. And, you threaten and you say, if you do this, this will happen. And then, the thing that I did is I learned from my father, what I call, what I thought was virtuous is to not be flexible, is to say, if you do this, this will happen. And then I never didn't let that happen. I always made sure it happened. So I wasn't very flexible about consequences. If you do this, then this is going to happen. And then I would have to, I would never go back on my word, and so I think I stopped things from happening that kids do naturally. They get themselves into binds, and then, they need to be able to get themselves out or deal with the consequences that comes with getting themselves in there. And I was always there maneuvering, making sure, I think basically because I was a stay-at-home mom and I had the time to be on top of every little thing. We lived in the country. And so we didn't have many neighbors. So I was very aware of everything that my kids were doing. And, that I don't believe that's a good thing, that
Right.
kids don't get to experiment and, and deal with real consequences. They're just
It's very interesting
like,
what you're saying. Like very, very interesting. Just second, 1 second, Donna. My son is just up. Sorry, my son just woke up, so he had to say something. When he was just a little restless. So while I was
Mhm.
there, I could feel his energy. So I just thought I'll just settle that because it just keeps happening around. He just keeps wanting to say it, but will not say it. Shall I fall again, baby? Yeah. Yeah, so that's what anyway is. That's another thing, right? You just talk about consequences. When mom is on alive, I can ask for anything that she will say no to, because um, she will say yes because she's still sitting on alive, and then she'll talk to me after 40 minutes. So for 40 minutes she's not coming and saying no to what he wants to do. So I don't know what
Yeah.
that consequences and all is, and of course I'm learning as a parent myself with now coming live and being busy, um, and when you're talking about natural consequences, I do it, like what comes to my mind is that I think even mothers fear that, like, and don't do a lot of things to actually feel the consequence of it, and a lot of out of fear we try to control a lot of things around us, even for
Mhm.
ourselves, because we're like, oh, if we do this, this might happen, and if we do this, my child might just like suddenly become addicted to of this if I don't do this. So like we just get so caught up in it, and actually uh, like I think the same thing happens with moms as well when you're talking about the natural consequences, and we don't go till the end of finding out what will happen, and keep stopping
Mhm.
ourselves from growing as well.
Yeah.
I feel that, like, if I'm sitting as a mother here, and what he's just done is he's very quietly taken my phone to go and figure out something on his game, and a mom in me is like, yeah, if I don't stop him, if I don't say something right now to him, or if I don't fix it, or if I don't do this, I will, like, so there is a lot of these things that you're talking about, the consequences. I will, so I just think that that's not only children, but also I think we just raise like that, and we stop ourselves from experiencing the whole thing, then finding the consequence, and then learning from it, and then moving forward to understand the whole
Mhm.
situation fully. So that's interesting. Is
Yeah,
there anything?
I think natural consequences, like I know, I believe that, we're all nature, and there's cause and effect to everything. And we don't have to create the effects for our kids, and they're, for certain things, for
Right.
certain things in life. And it's not like we even know what's right or wrong for that particular
Yeah.
situation. We just use the same thing over and over, taking things away, or, deciding, if you don't do this, you can't do this,
Yeah. Ah, yeah.
before the thing ever happened, and so
It's very
yeah.
interesting what you're saying, because yes, I mean, I've heard, like, I know where you're getting, and through these interviews, I'm also trying to, every mom trying to like get out a new message out, and I think like this is a very interesting message to tell the world about, that let there be consequences, and let them learn from that. And I think you as a parent have the ability to even deal with that consequence, and then take them out if the consequence is not okay.
Yes.
So believing in yourself as a parent to say, like, well, if he does reach that consequence, which probably I know, and if he does reach that consequence, maybe he doesn't, but if he does, I know how to handle it and then bring him out of it. Or
Mhm.
um, do Melanie is here as well. So like Dr. Zeta Williams, she's heading a lot of schools. She's here in the chat as well. um,
Mhm.
uh, so it's making me think right now, Donna, about this natural consequence, and I will put in a thought the whole day to that. So thank you for putting that that thought in my mind about natural consequences, because I think that's what's been taken away, and in COVID even more. In
Mm-hmm.
COVID even more, like for with COVID as a uh, just as something that somebody can get COVID as well. We're already protecting, we're already putting so much stuff happening before actually COVID happening to any of them. And I've consciously tried to, like, let him not be scared of COVID, my children not to be scared of COVID. But I see many kids are already being overprotected, have already been like stopped to talk to neighbors if there's COVID, without understanding anything of the whole thing. And that's, if I'm right, that's what you're trying to say. We keep stopping them from,
Growing.
yeah, from
And,
growing
and
to
I don't
understand.
think we stop them. I think we just prolong. We prolong
I
the
like
thing
that.
that's going to happen eventually. Would you like to be there to support them in dealing with the effects of of a consequence while they're home with you, or do you want them to wait and then have it be harder? Like teaching them about money or something. If you don't let them make mistakes, they're going to have that mistake at some point where you won't be there
Which is going to be
to
bigger,
support
yeah. It's
them.
going to be a bigger
They're
mistake.
going to, and they will have to go through a lot of things that we stop them from learning very young.
Yes, yes,
And
no, I
so,
absolutely agree. And it's a very interesting point, because we all have to give them that safe environment where we can allow them to topple and fall, because we are there to, and it's us like not such a big damage, those damages can be fixed
oh,
because they've grown. So very interesting. I think even schools, Dr. Rosetta Williams here, should provide that opportunity for them to make mistakes and not vice versa. Like even
because
schools are not,
mistakes aren't bad. We just have put a label on making mistakes,
yeah, yeah, we
and
have.
then I'm either bad or good. But the fact
Yeah.
is, a mistake is meant to maneuver to grow from, and there, if you don't give it a bad or good label, it's just another opportunity to grow.
And whatever the consequences is also, if it comes from a choice, and we can tell our children that this is the choice you've made, and that's what you like, they know, they understand it from an inner experience of what happens when you make choices. Like there are different results than what he's thinking, or the child is thinking, or she's thinking. That when I'm making this choice, am I getting attracted to something, but it's totally a different result of what I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was. And that being rooted on even smallest of things, I think it's a beautiful thing what you're saying, because that will come from an inner experience. Nobody can,
Yeah.
like, I as a parent cannot tell you what it feels like when you make that choice, and that's the consequences. How a hurt feels, or how maybe a physical hurt or an emotional hurt feels like, and then how do you come out of it? And that's the transformation, which is a gift to children when we can allow. And of course, technically, like, but because you're saying it now out loud, and I'm sitting here and hearing it, it makes me feel, and I urge many parents who will listen to it in future that yes, we should keep quiet and watch. Like we should watch and learn and let them grow and make mistakes, so that they know what making mistake is. And I think if schools can do that as well, and as you just mentioned, that's rather than labeling them that, oh my god, you made a mistake, and um, that's it just destroys a lot of stuff that can happen to a human being forever at a very
Mm-hmm.
young age.
Mm-hmm.
At a very young age. So
Yeah.
yeah, that like, I mean, I can talk about it, and I will honestly, uh, I knew it a little bit in my concept, but I will honestly try and apply to just back off and watch and see, and then only offer help when things are like done and the result is there and they need help. uh, and it's a difficult thing to do like that. That kind of parenting is a very difficult parenting to do, but my father did that, and I always admire him
Mm-hmm.
for that. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like he's always said yes to everything. He's like, yeah, go ahead, yeah, go ahead, yes, go ahead. And everybody around me, and my dad told everybody told him that, like, don't you think you say yes to everything to her? Like, you say yes for everything. And don't you think she needs to know what the word no is? And she needs to know that no, this is not done. Like, no, you cannot do this. Like I have, and honestly, like I'll turn back and I tell my father, my God, Dad, if I was you, I would have freaked out because 20 years back in a place which was not safe, I would like end up going there or end up calling my father and saying, "Oh, I'm here for a shoot," and my father's never reacted and or has said, and this he's never said that, "Oh my God, what are you doing there?" or it's 10 o'clock in the night. And in India at that time, women were like, there were women driving, but they were not driving like the way women are driving today, or they were not driving at 2 o'clock. And Delhi at that time was also considered a little unsafe. And my father always waited at even 2 o'clock in the night when I came in from a party. He always waited to hear what's happening, where I was, and just quietly listen and just keep nodding and say, "Okay, good night. I hope you had a good time." And I was in a joint family, Donna, of 13. And there were three families. And joint families, you mean you have three fathers, you have three mothers, you have grandmothers, you have older brothers, and everybody has the right to come and say, "Don't do it." And I was the only child, including all the boys, girls, the only girl in the house who was allowed to say, "Yes, go ahead, yes, go ahead, yes, go ahead." And
Wow.
I think as an energy, uh, as an energy, I've always actually received more yes as well in my life. Usually people don't say no to me. Like, I've just realized they're sitting here. Like, when I offer something, I've also received a lot of yes, because I think the resistance of the word no is not there in my life. Maybe because
Yeah.
I'm raised like that, and I have the sensibility of offering things that will also not. But what you're saying is very important, and I really, really am pressing upon it through this interview, only to say that yes also works, right? Yes works. Dr. Zeta William is here, and she also like said yes. She gave me my first assignment at the age of 18. I went to her office, and India there was no baby photographers, right? And here I was telling, and there were no photography courses. And then like I decided to be a baby and child photographer, and like I went to her, and she was heading an international school, and I said, uh, well, this is my work, and I I want to I want some work, like I want to start baby and child photography. And I think she just looked at the work, and then she looked at me, and she's like, "Yes, go ahead." And if she would have not said yes, I would have not reached here. That I always say that, because I was quite shocked, because I was prepared by everybody to say that you are doing baby photography, nobody's heard of it. You're like 18, 19, who will give you the charge of children and being around them with cameras and equipments and all that stuff? Like, who will give that charge? So all that chatter was there around it, but I still went ahead and I said, "Can I?" And she said, "Yes, and here's the assignment for you. I can see it in your work, and yes, go ahead." And I did have a 3-month assignment, and from there was no looking back, because I got a beautiful yes. So definitely I owe this to her. She's in the chat here, and she's one of the moms here as well. She's a princess. She's been a principal, and now she's a CEO of a big group of schools. But I'm saying, to say yes to children is very difficult. Of course, I was very young, and not only to our
Mhm.
kids, to every child who's coming to you, to say yes, go ahead and do it, and not keep warning them. Sorry, I've just got carried away, because that's a very important message I definitely want to give many mothers, because many mothers watch, they don't comment, but they watch and they send me personal messages saying it's made a difference. So thank you for sharing that. Moving on, you've like come a long, long way. Yes, as a parent, I think you've come a long way, Donna.
Yes.
And we can see
Yes.
that in your conversation. You have also come a long way. So let's talk about your Pilates and how so much
Yeah.
is done
So
to add that.
during the time I raised my children, I was very physically active. Played
Right.
softball, and nothing ever stopped me. I just drug my kids with me everywhere I went, and played ball. And when I was pregnant, till I was 8 months old, I mean 8 months pregnant, and then they kicked me off the field because I was too pregnant. So I just played, and then as soon as I
Oh
had
wow,
kids,
you played soccer when you were pregnant, you're saying? You played
I played softball when I was
softball.
pregnant, and
Yeah.
then I started playing soccer when I was 38.
Yes,
And
yes.
so then I was playing softball and soccer. And so, I've always been very active. So I was either, trying to build my body or heal my body, or, do something to make myself stronger. So, for all those years, I was a stay-at-home mom for 20 years. I was working out very hard, riding bikes, playing sports, doing everything while I was raising my kids. And then after I was done raising my kids, I was kind of lost, like, what do I do now? And I had already started playing soccer, and I get obsessive about playing sports. And so I started looking for something to help heal my body. I was starting to feel really old, just get out of bed and my ankles hurt and everything hurt. And I had already transitioned out of softball just to playing just soccer, but I was playing, maybe 5 days a week, playing tournaments on the weekends, and on several different kinds of teams, on senior league and co-ed and women's and, all different kinds of leagues. And my body just started to fall apart. And so I actually looked through the yellow pages for some kind of method of movement, because I was going to the gym and, I was working, lifting weights, doing classes, and it wasn't helping. And so I started looking through a book, and I came across a Pilates ad that said that it would help heal the body. And so I found a Pilates class, and I started taking Pilates for, maybe 3 or 4 months. And I felt a huge change in my body. I'd wake up in the morning and I wasn't in pain. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to get certified in this, because I think this is good for everyone. And so I took a 500-hour course in Pilates. And when I was done, and I actually started teaching at the place where I had been taking it, I realized that people can't do Pilates. It's too hard for them. It was just too physically hard for a lot of bodies to do it. And I started kind of backpedaling and to find, different modalities that could maybe pre-Pilates that I could help people to learn about their body and how it worked. So I got certified in some other methods with the, Melt and Franklin method, using imagery and working with the fascia and all of that. And while I was doing that, I did open my own studio and started working in that way, but I still had this deep interest in teaching people about their body, to be more mindful and not just beat it up and try to, work really hard. And so I had a partner who came in to work to teach yoga in my studio. And we got together and we started working. She was also my Pilates teacher at the other studio when I was working there. And we started working very mindfully on Pilates and started changing how we taught. Between her yoga and my Pilates, our clientele was doing really well. And then I started listening to a program called Healing with the Masters, where I came across a woman named Anat Banyel, who was talking about teaching mindful movement and this neural movement and the new brain plasticity and how it can change the whole system to heal. And when I listened to her, I decided I'm going to try this. And so I bought a big, package of her CDs, and I started doing it. And I had an amazing change in my body. And so I started integrating it into my Pilates classes and making a difference. And I could really see not just their bodies change, but their thinking was changing. Their sleep was changing. A lot of things were changing. And so I went and got certified as a neuromovement practitioner from Anat Banyel. And that took me on that journey to being a practitioner. And I did that for about 7 years until I started doing more self-improvement courses with Mary Morrissey and Marianne Williamson and, just anybody that I could. And I recognized that changing the mind was no different than changing the body, and that I could integrate those two things and create, mind, body, and spirit connection. People, you can't get that in touch with your body and start to really recognize how your brain works and how your mind works without getting spiritually connected. You just can't believe that you have anything to do with how this body works when you're doing this kind of work, because you go deep inside and recognize that physically we are so complex, and we try to teach the body through exercise and sports, how to make it work. But when you can lay on the floor and really go inside and recognize that I have no idea how this body works, but I can learn from it by moving very slow
Conscious,
and
yeah.
subtle, very conscious, with awareness and attention, and using your imagination and not making the body hurt or suffer. Or, I love my teacher Anat would say, when we're trying to do neural movement, we'd have people who were used to doing exercise and making things happen. And she'd say, when you're doing that, the nervous system will go on. You're in fight or flight now when you're hurting your body, and your brain's no longer available to learn because it's taking care of you. And it's like slapping your baby, telling your baby, I love you, because it's such a conflicting thing that
Right.
we're doing here,
Right,
so,
right.
yeah. So I really got into trying to get people to see differently how to move, because once you get in touch with your body, you can go out and do anything like Pilates or play sports or run or lift weights. You can do it. You can just do it mindfully, and know what it is you're working with, and how to treat yourself with kindness. And it makes a huge, and I've had, clients tell me that when they're here, I've had clients say to me, that when I've had couples work together and say, it changed my marriage, it fixed my marriage, and I've had people say that it made their job different, going to work different, because their mind works different. It's free of a lot of, tension and stress and contraction. If the body's contracted, the mind's contracted.
Debbie's sending a lot of hearts to us, so I didn't want to ignore her hearts, because she's been continuously sending a lot of hearts to this interview, and that's why I stepped in to just say, Debbie, I know you would be like loving what she's saying, and like this is just amazing. I'm not sure. Do you know Debbie, Donna?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. Because everybody knows Debbie. I'm just Debbie's here. Melanie's here with lots of hearts. It's actually beautiful. Dr. Zeta Williams is here. And what you're saying, it's and when you were talking, of course, you said you're very connected to nature, Donna. You're like very connected to nature. And when you were saying that, treat your body nicely, understand, and in nature, everything walks like very like usually if they're not in fight and flight mode, of course. That's the only time everybody's running around restlessly because there is some danger. But usually everybody is, walking and, consciously moving their bodies. All animals do that. They just like, I think we underestimate that they don't, but I think they very well know how their bodies are walking, what they're doing, unless there's danger. And what's happened is, of course, I also went through um, uh, some like I read a lot about health and reversal of diseases, etc. And what I understood also was that we are in so much hurry today all the time that situation that creates that danger is in our body all the time, and that's why we're moving very fast. And that's why if we don't have that fast way of exercising, or that slapping way of exercising, or that way of exercising, we just think nothing has really happened or nothing has really moved. But where you're coming from is so amazing, because you are trying to understand your body and then learn from it, as you say, and then move it, and then the changes happen. Because if your mind, if your energy, everything is aligned, it's no way that you will not do the right thing for your body, right? Your body will also come. But it's a slower process. And everybody thinks that you need to be there fast. It's all about weight. It's all about, again, coming back to this whole movement that I've started about image. How do we look? What fits us? What looks nice on us? You know, and then we get consumed into it, and then we start slapping the body, as you mentioned, and then we've forgotten the whole movement, the inside, the finding. And I told you I would love to do your course, even if it's on Zoom, because like I just feel that's for me, because I have never been interested in gyms, or I've never been interested in very hardcore training, and it's never fascinated me. Yoga has, I've done it for some time, but I left it. But now I feel that what you're saying is resonating with me a lot. That like slow down, understand, and things will start changing around you. I totally agree to that. Um,
Mhm.
so like, what's the plan with it? Like, what are you doing online? Are you doing online classes with it, or are you like
I do. I have a, right now I'm just doing a class on Wednesday mornings, Pacific daylight time, Wednesday mornings at 9. I do a group class and I do it where there's people that come in the studio and I do it and people are on Zoom at the same time. So I've put both, since we've been able to come back into the studio, I have people online and on the floor at the same time, and which I love because I can maneuver the bodies to help people understand. I have some hands-on people that I can do hands-on with to show what I mean. A lot of people, the people that are in the studio, and there are just a few of them right now because of COVID, have been doing this for years, so they understand how to do it slowly and, and I get concerned with the people that are new online because I can't see their bodies that well, but I can see them good enough. But if they can't understand what I'm getting them to do, what I'm asking them to do, they can actually see the bodies that are live on the floor. So I'm doing that in a group. That's my only group class right now. And but I do private sessions with, some people do 2 at a time and I can do that. It's just like doing this. I can instruct people, have them on the floor and have them do that. And
right?
it all works. And so because of COVID, I've also started sending out recordings because like next week I won't be here. So I send out recordings and they do it from like an audio. Yeah. So.
Beautiful. Dr. Zeta Williams is here, and she said, "I would love to do your course. I want to do your course." She's recently has got a lot into exercising and yoga and a lot of stuff. And I knew that like she would be saying that. I knew when she was in the comments that she would be raising her hands to do it because I think very, 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 very needed. I am sure doing it in person with you would be totally a different experience because you can feel and see, but well, we can always try to do it, and even like whatever this world is bringing us through online, I'm sure you do get, but I would love to come where you are and actually do
Yeah.
a few classes with you because this is incredible what you're doing, Donna. It's
Well, I
incredible.
have had people, that have only done it on Zoom since
Yeah,
COVID, and they,
it's worked for them.
it's good. Yeah, they're saying that they do get something out of it. So,
Yes, I would
um,
like to put your call, you put your link, if you send it to me.
so I don't have a website right now. So they'll have to just get me through my Facebook
From
messaging right
Facebook
now.
Messengers, right?
Yes, and
Right.
because I've actually decided that though I know Pilates exercises that I can integrate, this modality has 720 exercises, 720 lessons. And if, and just so people know, it's kind of an offshoot of Feldenkrais. So if anyone's familiar with Feldenkrais, it's not Feldenkrais, but it is, Anat Banyal actually was Moshe Feldenkrais's assistant until he died. And then she, created her own, from his exercises, created her own modality. So if anyone has ever experienced Feldenkrais, it's very similar to that.
Right. 720 lessons. Wow. Very, very fascinating, Donna. What you're doing is fascinating, and you're definitely an inspiration of how to move forward in life, and it's amazing. I'm so glad you're in the book because we'll have more opportunities to interact and meet, and you'll get to meet women across the world to pass this message on. And I know you're writing a book as well,
Yes.
and it's so needed, Donna. If I ask what's Donna's dream, what is Donna's dream? Because this book is all about 100 self-portraits, 100 dreams. What is Donna's dream?
I think that my dream would be to help people to get comfortable with just growing, becoming conscious of their bodies, of their minds, of their spirit, to just continue growing and be get used to being present. Just get used to being whatever I can offer to help people know that, there's nothing you can do about the future. You can plan it, you can, manifest it from your mind. Every thought is a thing. And if you can just know what you want, you can achieve it a lot better than working so hard at trying to get somewhere. And just love where you're at and do what you can, and appreciate what your past has brought you, because it's brought you here, and you are so much more because of it. And just, if we can let go of all that we hold on to, so my dream is to help people to heal from the past, dream about the future, get present in your body and your mind and in your spirit. Just get connected. That is my dream, to help as many people who are available and want to do that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Donna. Beautiful. So when my front light goes off, it also gives me a signal that you've been talking a lot, Shikha, and the light has also got discharged. So that's my also a way of, I'm trying, because these all interviews are going to now float. Once these 100 interviews are done, I'm going to put them into podcasts, I'm going to put them into YouTube, I'm going to rotate, I'm going to take out, lots is planned. And we'll have many, many opportunities to keep talking, because these 100 moms are my mission for next 1 year at least. I'm not seeing anything else. Even my work will rotate around it. My coaching, everything will just happen around it. That's what the decision I've taken. These 100 moms and book, and so would love to talk to you again, Donna. And
Sure.
you're like, Debbie's been here, Melanie's been here, Dr. Zeta Williams has been here. So they're all in the comments, which you can go back and see. And if anybody wants to reach out to her, she can be reached out through Messenger, and you can there. So thank
Yes,
you.
I would be happy to send a link to my class to anybody who wants to, contact me. So
Yes, yes. So welcome to the book, Donna, and we move ahead together from here, and let's see what is the world that we explore. And as you mentioned, the natural consequence of the project that we've started, and we will reach somewhere naturally there, without knowing where we are going, and without knowing where we are heading, but with the hope and all the determination that we are at the right path and we are reaching the right spot. We will move ahead with this book, with you in it. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you,
thank
Debbie.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Rosetta Williams and Melanie, for being here. And Cynthia. Cynthia has been here in the chat as well. All right.
Thank
So you
you
don't.
so much for having me. And, it's a beautiful project. It feels great. I just know it's going to be amazing. So
It's a pleasure.
thank you.
It's a pleasure having you here. Don't go off. I'm just going to go off live, and then we will see everybody. 75th mom is the next mom. Time to celebrate and dance very soon. We've reached 75. All right. Bye bye.